Nigeria. It's a brand new day and we are here to bring you the stories that matter, the conversations that spark change and the smiles that start your day right. I am Henry Ikwibike and this is Enterprise Morning, brought to you by Enterprise Television, your companion for news, politics, current affairs and everything in between. And just to let you know, we're reaching you from the economy capital of Nigeria, Lagos. And right here in our studios, we have Barrister Vansu Feli, journalist, public affairs analyst, to see through all that we have. Good morning to you, Barrister.
Good morning.
Thank you so very much for your time.
Except that I don't usually accept the title as a journalist.
Oh, sorry. My bad. Barrister Vansu Feli, Barrister Law Public Affairs Analyst. My bad, yo.
Although I did a training in journalism, I prefer.
You prefer being a barrister than you are. Thank you so very much.
Yes.
Yeah, so Barrister Vansu Feli is the Barrister Law Public Affairs Analyst, and he is joining us right here from our headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. And just to let you know, you can always reach us if you may. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally watch and equally follow us if you want to at Enterprise TV 7. We'll start off right now with our newspapers, and right after that will be our main conversation. So let's kickstart today with the first daily on our desk, and this is coming from the Vanguard newspaper. And we have so many interesting stories here. Debt burden, no sin in borrowing, and that's coming from Bayo Onanuga, representing the presidency. Federal FG gas-powered vehicle scheme runs into major hitch nationwide. 785.6 billion naira investment threatened. And also, APC primaries, Amechi gave Tinubu dose of his own medicine. And that's coming from the Nobel laureate Soyinka. Barrister, let's take a look at the federal government gas-powered vehicle scheme running into a major hitch nationwide. Now, I had the opportunity of going through the stories. When it started, it looked like an awesome thing for Nigeria, an alternative to PMS.
Yeah.
But right now, it is becoming like the good old days of PMS hurdle that Nigerians faced back in the day. So is this but a waste of time, waste of resources, and waste of conversion for Nigerians who had done that?
Well, you know, when this thing started, I said it, or are we really ready for this? Okay, because we are good at jumping at things when we have not really thought out the possibility and workability. The peculiarity of the Nigerian environment, the atmospheric difference with every other places that I've worked, I know that. We didn't think about that. We just felt, this is the new wave. This is where the world is going. We're not even considering the gas, the CNG, based on the fact that it's environmental friendly. We're looking at it from the standpoint of economy. That is more economical, it's cheaper, and all that. And at the end of the day, we seem not to be at top gear with the supplies. Okay, so I mean, those who have converted, I don't know where they are right now.
In fact, they said those who have converted are reconverting back to PMS.
They're converting to PMS because it's not well thought out. Okay, if I convert now, will I enjoy will it be valuable to me, given our environment, reliability of the roads, okay, the workability of the plan itself, how committed is the government to it, what is, because anything you're doing that you cannot easily find the technicians, okay, who will address the after conversion, because you need to, if you have issues, you need to find people who can put it to order. You need to be able to use it fluidly, like you can assess everything that comes with it, because definitely a lot of responsibility will come with it.
Because the deficit of value chain is what is being experienced now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We didn't really work this through, okay, whether it's a viable option for us. Not every option you jump at. Okay, even the cost effectiveness, really, is it really cost effective in the long run? So those are the things that were not properly checked at all, and people are going back to where they were before they converted. And it's unfortunate because policies like this need to be well thought out. The bosses are no longer seeing them at all. I mean, that's the what do you call the big bosses?
The CNG bosses.
The CNG bosses. I'm not seeing them again. The policy, I don't know where it stands. I don't know which ministry is actually, is it the Ministry of Transport?
Yeah, Minister of Transport.
I don't know how viable are they with it and the rest of that. So the minister is not even communicating. Okay, when was the last time the minister addressed the nation on CNG? So those are the issues. The policy is not in our face. It's not sellable. It's not selling. We don't know whether it's a viable option or not. They just kept it open. People are confused. So it can't go far that way. If we prioritize it, perhaps we can make do of what it stands for. But there's no priority on it.
But
it's
as it stands now, do you think that Nigerians might still give this a second chance if it's possible? I went around town asking important questions. First off, gas stations right now, if you look at the queue in many gas stations, there are CNG vehicles hoping to get the CNG. So if you are on PMS, it's easy for you to get your product and go away.
Yes.
CNG, the queue is as long as those days when there used to be scarcity of PMS.
Yes.
Secondly, Nigerians who ply different roads through commercial buses are scared. According to my investigation, whenever they get into buses and they see those gas things, they're always very scared, like, hope this won't
catch fire.
Yeah, catch fire. So do you really think that just like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu impulsively takes up decisions, he has equally failed again? Should this be on record?
Well, yes. I think that the policy should have come with a caveat that if you already have petrol engine, there's no need, because that conversion will have technical glitches or effects. So you buy vehicles that are originally made for that purpose. Because this conversion thing, they take it to welders. The welders start to weld things and all that. And I don't really see it as a reliable option. So that is why when people come into a bus, they see all the tanks exposed and all that. And it's inflammable.
Yes, very well.
It's inflammable. So then you have, the pipes are not really protected. Okay. Unlike a vehicle that was originally built for that purpose. You have foams around the pipes. You have protection around it. But this one, they just give welders, say just do one like this, do one like this. When you have all that exposed, I don't think it is safe. The cooking gas, even that we have in our homes, many of them are not even safe.
Exactly.
Let alone a machine that will be running throughout the day in gallops, in water, and everything. So I don't think, just like these cars, they break down too. It could have effect. So it's a policy that should have worked if maybe the federal government had rolled out those buses and give it out maybe as hire purchase, or give it out as in low or credit facility to support purchase or whatsoever. There should have been a program. It's not just a policy. You bring a program under the policy that will make it accessible for people to that will prioritize safety. Okay, what we have now is asking people to convert to CNG. You don't have the conversion centers. You don't have the technical know-how. You don't have, even when you want people to convert, you should bring the experts that will do the conversion. You don't just ask people to go and convert at where. So those are the things.
Very
policies
true.
Should be robust. They should not be halfway. They should make it robust.
And just like we equally, when all of this started, India, where the presidency got the ideas for CNG and all, it's very important that we state some facts here. That Tata, the auto manufacturing company that does all of that, just like you did say, Barrister, they incubate a car from the beginning knowing it is meant for CNG.
Yes.
They don't do the kind of conversion that we do now.
They don't do that.
They don't do that. So it's very important that just before we get policies right, we understand, the rudiments and how we can get it all sorted for sustainability. But let's take a look at other matters from the same newspaper. Debt burden, no sin in borrowing, and that's coming from Bayo Onanuga. Barrister, from an economic stance, it's often said that there's no sin in borrowing if you know where what you're borrowing will go to. In the case of Nigeria, do you think it should be said the same way.
There is sin in borrowing.
There's sin in borrowing.
Yes, especially when you are borrowing for consumption. The last letter the president sent to the National Assembly is requesting for that amount of money to pay pensioners. That's a sin, because that fund is for consumption. It's not for any kind of development, any project whatsoever. It's to offset debt. You are taking a loan to offset a debt. You understand? So when they say the president have done that, I look and I laugh. You see, you borrow from OPay, PalmPay, and use Money Point to pay PalmPay, and use PalmPay to pay, with due respect to the brands mentioned, even though it's for their this thing, we're promoting them technically. But that's not what to do. That's not what you're supposed to do. Okay? We can actually generate this money from within.
That's taxing.
Yes.
Tax?
Tax? Of course, tax. I mean, we have companies all over the place. We have people bringing in goods from MP and the rest of people bringing in goods. We have a lot of means of, we are selling crude oil. Okay? We can prioritize how to pay in the budget itself. Okay? Even though it's there, but it is there on deficit. Because we are running a deficit budget. When you're running a budget you're actually spending more than you can earn. You're running a deficit budget. That's what it means. Okay, so everything is in deficit. But I think that we shouldn't borrow to offset, because we shouldn't borrow to spend in terms of consumption.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're owing the pensioners. That's negative already, in deficit. Then we're going to borrow to offset it. So the loan is still there. The loan is still hanging. Yes, it's still hanging. Whichever way you look at it, you don't borrow to offset the loan.
So pragmatically, with the dire strait we are in Nigeria, what do you think then is the best way to do about it? Because we do not have the money domiciled anywhere, and we need to take care of pensioners if they are. So how best do we get this money realistically, pay the pensioners, and maybe not have any reason to take the brunt?
We should have generated the money from within to pay them. Yes. The federal government have enough streams of income. Enough streams of income. The CBN regulates the bank. The institutions of the federal government, the revenue generated ones are there, okay, to do the needful. Okay, so that's what I think, because this thing that will pay our debt today and borrow higher than what we just offset tomorrow, it's not a policy forward movement. It's not forward movement policy, because at the end of the day, the loan is still there. Let's just look for a way to minimize borrowing, okay, or minimize taking loans, because we can actually do it if we are disciplined. The money the president wasted on the private jet, wasted on the National Assembly, wasted on the office of the First Lady, and that he wasted on this coup something trip they went for environmental whatever, all those funds put together could have done well. The money he wasted on his convoy could have paid pensioners. The monies recovered by EFCC could have been put into use. The funds that that we are recovering from Abacha loot and the rest of that, we're not told where these monies are going to. They could have offset, they could take care of some of these things. There's so much money flying around, and we're taking loan in the midst of that. So you ask yourself, all these funds, where is it going to? Okay, where is it going to? Just not up to 1 week, the National Assembly padded the budget by almost 70 trillion. 6 trillion, right?
Yeah.
Padded the budget at 6 trillion and all that. Well, that money is going to go through, where is it going through? And we're expected to enforce that budget through borrowing. Okay? Because what we have as liquid is not up to what government intends to spend. When you look at our production capacity per day, you calculate it by the number of months in the year. What we have cannot deliver that budget.
Okay.
So we're going to borrow to really spend to enforce the budget. And if we have to do that, we're taking loans upon loans upon loans. We're owing already. So let's minimize pensioners. I mean, pensioners, how much is the money that cannot be generated within? Because this thing about quick loan, this money has to be paid.
Definitely.
This
Because
money has to be.
some development economics pundits have concluded there are two ways any nation can generate money, either to tax its people or to stimulate production in the economy. And it's been stated that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is, of course, not stimulating the economy.
It's not stimulating the
He
economy.
is taxing the people. And Nigerians can still see what the money is used for at the end of the day. You know, every time the Nigerian Port Authority declares a profit, how much they have made, but it's been concluded that most of those money are made through importation. So it's like we are taking from ourselves to take care of ourselves, and it's still not enough, and it's really
the
a
money
very difficult thing.
The money that was saved from the removal of subsidies.
7 trillion actually.
So where is the money? Can't you use part of it to offset pensioners? How many pensioners are we talking about? Or how much is the money? So sometimes they don't really tell us what they are doing with this money. Because when you say you want to pay a pensioner, it sounds very empathetic. And people will not want to contest it because it sounds very empathetic.
Yeah.
But are you really sure they are going to use it to take care of pensioners in the long run? That's where my question is, my argument is. Because, I mean, it's difficult to believe this government because the repeated lies they've told Nigerians over time is worrisome. So to not believe that they're going to take care of pensioners, are they saying with this they will not be owing pensioners again for life and the rest of that? So this government should be sincere with Nigerians. They claim to have won the election. They claim that it's a government of renewed hope. But you know, we are seeing it as hoping against hope. Okay? Because the reservoir where you store hope is almost empty in Nigeria. People are not finding it funny any longer. So how long are you going to hope against hope? Where is the renewed hope?
Where is the renewed hope? The president has said that we should cut him some slack, that he met a dried well. And what he's trying to do right now is to dig deep into that well and see if there could be water anywhere. But let's take a look at what's happening from the Guardian newspaper. 2027 opposition coalition shops for candidates as APC mocks the effort. Economy not in crisis, says the presidency, as Afenifere rates Tinubu very, very low. ECOWAS at 50, a legacy at a crossroad. Barrister, let's take a look at two stories here, if we may. I'll love to start with ECOWAS at 50, a legacy at a crossroad. General Yakubu Gowon, I love to believe, is the only living president or leader that was there in 1975 when ECOWAS started. Right now, the Sahel states are off that block, and we don't have an ECOWAS that looks like the ECOWAS we used to know before. With President Bola Ahmed Tinubu dining with Macron, with French, while the nations that are upset with France really, are really not excited. How do you think a president can galvanize the bloc once more, knowing that he has interest with the oppressor of some of the states that make up the bloc?
The ECOWAS chairman, that's the president of Nigeria, has failed to work in the right optics. Okay, you are not just the president of Nigeria. The fact that Nigeria is in good terms with France, you should know that you are on a bigger platform other than just the president of Nigeria. You are the chairman of ECOWAS. ECOWAS used to have 15 countries, okay, founded in 1975, with the objective to liberalize trade and economic activities within the African coast, the West African coast. Okay. And why doing that? Promoting democratic governance. That's the objective. Okay. Now, because of the kind of democracy that the member states have witnessed in Africa, where you have a president that has been there for 40 years plus. The people's life have not changed as a result of any policy from ECOWAS. They are just members by default. Nothing is moving forward in their country. ECOWAS is asking and demanding for democratic governance, even when democracy is failing in all the countries, all member states. Okay, they keep preaching, democracy. Now the military struck in some of these countries. The countries are now witnessing, a sort of progress, unquote, a sort of forward movement. Okay, the people are so. These guys came together. The likes of Niger, Burkina Faso, Mali, and the rest of them came together and created a Sahel state. Okay, purposely to create a new outlook in what governance should be in their various countries. Okay, so that the people can actually assess governance. Because the one that was given to them, which ECOWAS acknowledges and approve, is not doing well. So they had to jettison ECOWAS. I mean, look at the French colonies with their policy of assimilation, policy of association and assimilation in their colonial, which they passed on after their colonial, because the colonial effort of the French policy is that even after colonialism, you are still colonized. You understand? The central bank of many of their colonies is still in France. Okay? They change language, culture, food, everything. That's what the process is. So at the end of the day, many of those countries in the Francophone hemisphere even lost their native languages. They speak French because of how intense. The British colonial effort or rule didn't exterminate the African culture. It only introduced its own to add to. You understand? But that of French, their policy of assimilation is to acculturate the people, pull them out of their identity completely, define a new order for them, and bring them up to speed with that reality. That even when colonialism has ended, these people are still tied to the apron spring of France, their master. Sometimes they won't open the borders for them to come in, and the rest of that. You can see that in their footballers and all these things you see. But the end game is exploitation. You understand? It's to extract, imperialism is the idea. But that imperialism is one that is presented in a way that you see yourself as them. But in the long run, they are not really who you think you are. So the Sahel state, those states now understand this subtle way of exploitation. And I've now decided that no, their people should benefit from their own mineral resources and natural resources directly. And this, with due respect to them, this state governed by military rule, they are doing well. They are doing well. We can see the handwriting on the wall. What democracy could not do. And who says that democracy must be the only kind of government that there are many countries that are not practicing democracy. China does not practice democracy. The Arab Emirates don't practice democracy. Some other countries of the world don't practice democracy. Democracy is not the only system of government. If you ask me, I won't think that democracy is not a good system of government because it promises a lot and delivers nothing. At least the way it's practiced in Africa. Okay? So there should be other system of government that should be explored. Maybe the ones not invented yet. Maybe the ones, the monarchy, in some places oligarchy works. The rich are very rich, conservative, but they still allow the poor to have, as much as they could enjoy from the commonwealth of the nation. So ECOWAS is not doing well. 50 years after, it's at a crossroad. You cannot compare ECOWAS with UN, for example, United Nations. The League of Nations failed after the First World War. After the First World War, the League of Nations was created to avert the coming of another war. Okay, the League of Nations was like ECOWAS then. It couldn't really spread its tentacles to handle world affairs effectively. So the Second World War broke out and League of Nations collapsed. Okay, it was after the Second World War, okay, that you now have the establishment of the United Nations. Then it was called UNO, United Nations Organization. Then, before it became UN. Today, we can see the efforts that United Nations is putting to end war and to entrench global peace. It's quite remarkable. The United Nations have not only succeeded in bringing the tension of world conflict down, it has also succeeded in peacekeeping in so many countries of the world. It has succeeded in building a global brand, and it has succeeded in developing branches to handle different areas of like UNESCO, UNO, okay, World Health Organization, some of the sub organizations are created under the UN to handle very sensitive affairs like education, health, and the rest of that. So it has made strides. So I don't know why ECOWAS cannot pick a lesson from a UN, for example.
Can we blame that on the cultural protectionism of Africans? We love our own, we love ourselves, you know, that, so that makes it difficult for us to want to partner with people
with other African
in unison.
countries.
Yes, exactly.
Yes,
like the EU has done.
Yes.
You know, they came together, got the same currency,
yes,
and they're competing.
Do you know that the ECO, that's the currency for the ECOWAS,
yes,
is still in dispute today. Okay. In our African Bar Conference, I was a speaker in the last one. All the topics are tied around how you can move away from here to Ghana and be able to spend the money you have with you without engaging in foreign exchange. Even in Ghana, you don't even hear about their own cedis. You hear dollar everywhere.
Yeah.
You understand? When you move from there, I've been to Ghana, to Zimbabwe, to Zambia, to Kenya, to Rwanda, and the rest of that. You keep seeing different. In fact, the East Africa, they ask you for a visa. You get to the airport, they stamp you 90 days in. Okay, the visa regime is one of the most devastating thing about the African hemisphere. You cannot. Why can't Africa host the World Cup? If we have rails, and we have visa-free, environment, we'll trade better, we'll flourish better, we can do things better off. You understand? We're able to even in the I'm going to watch the coming World Cup in Atlanta. Now, I can move from Atlanta into Mexico. I can move from Mexico to all the cities where because it's not taking place in just one place. Yes. But if it's in Africa, they have to require a visa for you to move from west to east.
Okay.
Then if you're even going to a place like South Africa, that one there's not like stamping in. You have to go to the embassy here to get their visa first on your passport before you start to go to another country, so that you can easily fly from there into South Africa.
But what do you have to say about, because I listened to the speeches that was given during your African Bar conference meeting. Your very good friend Liberals said something that really struck. He said the reason why would other African countries that are doing better allow for a mass exodus of people from another place into their place, right? Knowing that they've made those places better, why not the other African brother take care of themselves and be comfortable, rather than bring the whole of themselves to populate an African country that's already doing better?
Yes, that's one of the fear. If you look at the what do you call it? There's a program that we have, the current policy on African trade. Okay. Part of the reason Nigeria is for dragging, okay, is because there are so many African countries that their citizens are displaced. Like talking about a country like Central African Republic, for example, Somalia.
Niger here,
Niger.
if you give them the opportunity, they all come into Nigeria.
And then they enter, they overrun everyone. They are much.
Yes.
They are very much. Already, you can see the inconveniences, even in Lagos. When you go through Oshodi and the rest of that, they are begging you, you could see all that. So, that is a big problem. It's a big problem because the exodus and the movement is not for leisure. It's not for economic boom.
Like it said in other nations in America,
where people are moving
is for luxury.
It's for luxury, and the country they are moving to they are getting revenue. Yes. They are getting, because once they move in, they go to hotels. Yes. Okay, they go to seasides and they pay. They go to Badagry. They pay. These ones that are coming with survivor, they are hungry while they are coming in. Yeah. So it's nuisance. Yes. So that's part of the problem. But should we say because of that we should not liberalize our borders for Africa? Should we say also, can we have an OAU, for example, that is called AU now? Because AU, with due respect to them, they are not different from ECOWAS.
Yeah, very true.
I'm just telling you. You know, because the AU that is supposed to take care of this issue we're talking about, displaced people, war, devastation, climate, whatever, and all that, they are missing in action in all these things we are discussing. They are missing in action. So how will even ECOWAS do well? ECOWAS is just a section.
Yes, it's a subset of
of the AU, okay? And the parent body is not doing well. So, I mean, the other one is as well as they are not doing well. And the reason they don't do well is because there's no common vision. There's no common vision. Africa does not have a vision where it's going to. That is why it's a dumping ground. That was even why it was easy in the Berlin conference for them to sit down in Europe and say, you know what, you go here, you go here, you go here. Balkanize Africa in 1804, came in and took the Royal Nigeria came in to extract. Lord Lugard came in to extract. The British government came in to extract. Okay, claiming that they are bringing civilization, which they did. Okay, Western education. Okay, but it's not commensurate to what they took, because they brought even the current violence that we face. They brought the Bible, they brought the guns, they brought both the positive and the negative and dumped on us. And Chinua Achebe explained it very well, that when the white men came, we banished them from our clan and sent them to the evil forest. We were amazed at their foolishness. Okay. When they were reading from more, they were amazed at their foolishness. But today, the white man is very wise. They have turned everything around. It has cut off the rope that put us together. Things are falling apart. Okay? So, the problem in Africa is much. You can't exhaust this in one show. Okay? But the conversation is ongoing. The conversation is ongoing too. And things are changing gradually, because some of these recommendations are being passed. A country like South Africa, for example, don't even want to see Nigerians who are even comfortable.
Yeah.
Let alone countries like Niger and the rest of them are displaced. So there's a lot of reorientation that we need to take care of. Okay. Ramaphosa is talking to Trump, wants Trump to attend. Trump is saying, you are killing white people. Your people are killing white people. Government does nothing about it. I feel that he should be going around Africa.
Who exactly?
Ramaphosa.
Okay.
He should be going around Africa. That's the president of
South Africa.
South Africa. He should be going around African country to create an harmony, So instead of going to the president of the US just because you want him to attend, whereas it is a problem on ground, the xenophobic tendency of the South Africans, the lack of tolerance of the Nigerian states over other African countries, and the many wars that's ongoing in places like Somalia, in places like Central African Republic, in places like Congo, and the rest of them. Okay, the African countries that really have good economy, but you can't see it and you can't know it because it's overshadowed by neighboring countries with devastation and the rest of that. So Africa must come of age someday and define really where it's heading to. A continent should have a place it's heading to. The AU should be formidable. ECOWAS should have foresight. Okay? There's no need for military regime. We should be able to resolve all that. Quench this Sahel something, because this Sahel state is an alternative in futility. You cannot use military regime to go forward. Even if you assume but not considering that you now have enough military, enough countries with military, how do you attend the United Nations and other global organizations as soldiers?
Yes. Of course, you won't be admitted.
You have an illegal government, so you cannot attend.
And when you don't attend, the benefits that should accrue to your nation would be given to someone else.
Someone else. The benefit, when Abacha killed Ken Saro and 4 others, what happened? Even from Commonwealth of Nations were thrown out.
Yes.
Okay. The benefit that will come from UN, for the grants. Just now that Trump came in, that we're having problems. For some of us that are into the that have alliances with NGO and the rest of that, we know what it is to operate, as at the time Trump wasn't there. And then we'll know how we're able to reach out. Okay. Even the UN, programs, okay, the Sustainable Development Goals, you understand? Trump is working against it for Africans. Even when it's an established, backed up by treaty. Okay. So we should enforce it and have it, the AU, for example, should have at least duplicated that Sustainable Development Goal, because Africa need it more, even than the UN, where it's coming from. Africa need it more. Zero poverty, education, those are the issues. Address out of school children, implement the SDG goals. That is the way to go. They ask governors to do that in Nigeria. They're not doing it. They are not. So if you have, Peter Obi is the only one who
was able to adhere to the SDG goals
adhere to it
as a template to his governance.
And it reflected in the educational policy of the state at the time. Okay, so where are they now? The next governor ought to have consolidated on that. The one coming after. We should have things like that, but we seem not to be there. What is AU's program on the African hemisphere? What is the program that AU has? I'm asking.
And the question is, when they get together to have that sit-down meeting, what do they usually discuss?
What do they, what they discuss? What they discuss every time they gather? What they'll talk about. All the leaders will be there, and they'll be talking about the visa regime, how that they should remove it. Those who have the capacity to remove, they are the ones seated there to remove all those restrictions. They are the ones seated there. They will be discussing it. At the end of the day, I mean, you need to attend some of these conferences that discuss Africa. It's about poverty, it's about disease, visa regime, lack of integration, the ECO. Like the ECO, that conversation now has been there for over 15 years. The conversation even started before that of the euro. The euro, they've achieved it already, and the euro is now stronger than their independent currency would have been. True. So why can't we do that and then see the issues of very poor African countries infiltrating other countries can be handled. It can be handled because the fact that you can move in freely does not mean there's no restriction. That's not what it means.
Okay.
The fact that you can move in freely, the fact that there's no visa regime, another does not mean you can just stroll in. Because you still have custom now.
Yes.
Your motive and agenda and everything must also be, in as much as there's no
question.
Yes, in as much as you don't need a visa to come in, it does not mean it's free for all. So why can't we have that, so that those who have the resources to come in and do business genuinely, to spend money, leisure, tourism and the rest of that, we put them in one class. Those who are coming in for survival and the rest of that, we know how to categorize them. We have camps, refugee camps, for those who want to seek asylum. Okay, we've had leaders come to Nigeria to seek asylum. Chancellor sought asylum here. So we can have a policy for that. Then the UN, through a charter, the AU, through a charter, can issue a universal one within the African sphere. And that can be used and localized by every country.
Very, very true, Barrister. We've often, said it here. There are no reasons for Africa not to be what it should be. Unfortunately, we have pockets of leaders who are not moving in simpatico to what Africa stands for. And I would love to believe other regions and continents around the world would envy and would earnestly desire to, if possible, come over to Africa. But of course, we have everything, but what we have is a gross deficit of leaders to make those things happen. Thank you so very much, Barrister. And just to let you know, he will be here to take us on our main conversation. That is when we return. Amaechi's defiance, Soyinka hails him for standing up to Tinubu in 2022 APC primaries. That in a bit when we come back. It's still Enterprise Morning.